Talk of the Heartland with Mckoy are not necessarily the opinions of Walnut Media USA, management, any particular denomination or religion, the mailman, the church lady, or anyone else of sound mind and body. Now, here's the Talk of the Heartland with Mckoy on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
Good afternoon, my oh my. It's the 12th of December in the Lord's year 2022. I'm Mac McCoy, and this is the Talk of the Heartland here on KCRO. It's a Monday here in Omaha, Council Bluffs, Lincoln, and all around the world at KCRO.com. And I think I'm going to have a fun show for you today. I have to admit, what was that show that I met you at, Mark?
The Holiday Market.
So
Exarban Holiday Market.
Yeah, I'm walking down the Exarban Holiday Market a week ago, and I see Mark. I don't know Mark, but I saw him, and the cover of his book is More Busting Bad Guys. And I was curious. And so I went up and we talked for a very short period of time because he was awful busy. And so I asked him to come on the program today, and I hope you're going to enjoy this. Now, if you're wanted by OPD, don't call in, don't make a comment on it, because all the cops are watching and listening. So just be good today. Listen to the show, watch the show on YouTube or wherever it is, but just be nice, because this is not the day we're looking for you, unless you want to buy his book. And then it's at his website, Busting Bad Guys.
BustingBadGuys.com.
And both of them are there.
You bet.
All right. That's a good name. Now, tell me, did you find out if the .com was available before you titled the book?
Well, that's an interesting story because, a book's only as good as its title. So if you got a snappy title, just like you walking by, you see Busting Bad Guys, a lot of people stop. So I hired a company here in Omaha to kind of help market the book. And my wife and I went there one day back in 2014, and there was 1,000 titles on the wall. And we were brainstorming, and it might have been my wife that came up with the idea. She said, well, what about Busting Bad Guys? And the publicist checked real quick, and the title was available, and we locked in on it and bought it for like $10.
Yep. I will tell you that I have been buying domain names for 97, 98, so 15, 16 years. I myself have written a couple books. They're not good. I just wanted to write them. But you always go and find out if your domain name. If you're going to name your child, a baby that's not born yet, put first, middle, and last name in there. If you're going to start a business, anything like you do, because that's our commerce. Our commerce is now all online. So if they can find you there, that's great. All right, so 26 years as a Omaha policeman. Now, were you basically, I'm going to use a term that may be not right, but were you on the beat during that time?
I had a great career, and I worked in a lot of different units. My first 5 years, I was in uniform patrol, which I thought was probably the best 5 years of my career because it was just nonstop action. I worked the night shift, and I actually worked the night shift all 26 years I was there by choice.
Midnight or
like 4 to midnight, 2 to 10, those kind of hours. So I actually enjoyed that. And then I went into the detective bureau after that, and then I got promoted to sergeant. And for the last 18 years of my career, I was a supervisor in the Metro Drug Task Force, which encompassed the whole city, and we worked large-scale drug investigations.
Okay. Again, his name is Mark Langan, like hangin', Langan. The website is bustingbadguys.com, and he's got the first book, which is Bustin' Bad Guys, and then the second book is More Bustin' Bad Guys. All right. And OPD for 26 years. So give me a little background. Where are you from?
So born and raised in Omaha. I grew up in the North Omaha area, so I'm a proud North Omaha kid, Miller Park area. Went to Blessed Sacrament Grade School, Catholic kid. Went to Blessed Sacrament Grade School. I write in the first book about how I'd sit out, look in the classrooms, look out on 30th Street in Miller Park and see the police cars going up and down the street, and that's all I ever wanted to do.
Really?
And it sounds cliche-ish, but that's honestly true.
No, that's great.
That I told myself I want to be in one of those police cars one day chasing bad guys. And then I went to Roncalli High School. From there, Creighton University. For a period
you were
of
just
time.
smacking it Catholic the whole time, weren't you?
I am a born and raised
Did you have a
Catholic.
picture of the Pope or anything hanging from the dashboard or anything?
I probably should have, considering
okay.
some of the things I got involved in, but no, I did not.
I was born into Catholicism also, so I tease you as fellow brothers.
I'm a guilty Catholic.
There you go. Yeah, not me. I don't have any guilt anymore.
That's good.
Go ahead.
That's good.
All right. So, and now you don't have to give me names, but you're married.
I am.
How many children?
2.
And boy, girl, boy.
I have a girl that will be 40 in February, which is a numbing experience for me, and a son who's 38, and they're both here in Omaha.
Oh, good.
And I have 2 grandchildren with the dog.
Good. That's always so cool when
they're great.
The grandkids are here.
They're great.
Yeah, my oldest daughter turned 42 last year, and it's like, what happened?
Where did it go?
Where did that go?
Where did it go?
But we get married young, and that's what happens. All right. So, what made you want to write this book? I mean, you wanted to be a cop all your life, but did you want to be a writer?
So I've always been a writer. I excelled in creative writing classes in high school, and in fact, I mentioned my creative writer instructor in book number 1. And he's thrilled at that. And I just always enjoyed writing. And then when I got in the police department, I started writing articles for like national police publications.
Oh, cool.
FBI Law Enforcement Bulletin, which is a national publication, a bunch of others. I actually got an article published in the John J. Jr. Criminal Justice Department in New York City. So I've had some experience in writing, but never writing a book. And in 2013, I just sat down and my wife had told me to do it. Friends had told me to do it. I started writing some chapters, and before I knew it, I had 90,000 words in about 6 months.
Oh wow! Now, did you find it hard to write?
I did not. My father was a United States Marshal for close to 40 years here in Omaha.
Him and Mr. Walker, right?
Yeah, well, and Matt Dillon.
Sure.
Yeah, all those guys.
So if you had lived in the 1800s, you'd be toting guns and wearing cowboy hats.
I think I would have enjoyed that back
all
in
right,
those days,
me too.
But he told me, keep track of everything you do on your career. Keep scrapbooks, which I did, newspaper articles, police reports, crime scene photos. I mean, I had scrapbook after scrapbook. So when it came time to write the first book, I just opened up the scrapbooks, found the best stories that I thought the readers would find interesting, and started writing, and it worked out really well.
Good for you. All right, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, now, if you're a regular listener of this program, you know that I don't spend a lot of time talking to my guests prior to having them on, and I do that on purpose because I don't want to lose the timeline or the concept or anything like that. So, so if I ask a wrong question, just say, move on or I'll shoot you or something like that. But when we come back, I want you to know, or I would like you to share with us the most memorable moment, if there's one or two, and then obviously the ones that, broke your heart.
Sure.
Hard to come home from. All right, my guest today is Mark Langan, Langan. The book is bustinbadguys.com. Good Catholic boy. You and Joe Biden. Good. And he was with OPD for 26 years, and we'll be back in 3 minutes, and we'll hear about some of the best and some of the worst that happened on the streets of Omaha with a bustin' bad guys policeman. I'm Mac McCoy, and if I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. Right here on AM 660, FM 106.7 in Lincoln, and all around the world. Yep. At KCRO.com.
Home is where the holidays happen, and it's time to get ready for hosting. At NFM, we make the holidays easy for you. Check everything off your list with our huge in-store selection. NFM has lowered prices on thousands of items across the whole store, just in time for the holidays. Plus, shop with budget-friendly, long-term financing and convenient drive-through pickup. Big selection, big savings at NFM. Minimum monthly payments required, 18% APR, some exclusions apply. See store for details.
The ministries you listen to every day here on KCRO all have one thing in common. They're all working to bring souls to Christ. Many of the ministries that do such a fine job of sharing the word of the Lord never know the impact they have on their listeners' lives. So today, take a minute and let your favorite program know they are making a difference. If you need contact information for a specific program, you can call us here and we'd be glad to help. Thanks for listening, and God bless. Do you need a little good news in your life? Tune in to Spotlight Good News Omaha on KCRO 3 times daily, weekdays at 5:30 a.m., 9:45 a.m., and 10:15 p.m. with your host, Tim Janisewski, on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
As long as we're living in God's universe, don't you think it's reasonable for Him to ask us to play according to His rules? Well, that's what we'll hear this week on Through the Bible as we travel through the book of Romans. Don't miss a minute of the action. Hop aboard the Bible bus as it comes around your corner.
Through the Bible, weekday mornings at 6:30 and 10:30 on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
The Heartland's Christian voice, KCRO.
Dear God, I want you to enlighten what's dark in me, strengthen what's weak in me, mend what's broken in me, bind what's bruised in me, heal what's sick in me, and lastly, revive whatever peace and love has died in me. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, it's about 4:15, and coming up at 5 o'clock tonight, it's Debbie Blank and Living Word Ministries. We enjoy having her. That's 5 to 6 o'clock this afternoon here on AM 660, 106.7 in Lincoln and all around the world at KCRO. Now, remember, I'm one of those guys that I appreciate when you write an email that says, I really enjoyed your show. Mark was a great guy. I can remember one time when he came to my house and returned my cat or saved somebody's life. Or I love those stories. But I need to hear what I can do better. Kind of like a guy owns a restaurant. You tell him his cheeseburgers are good. If they're good at what they do, they'll tell you, well, make sure you tell me when they're not, because I don't know it. So here's my email address. It's Mac, M-A-C like macaroni, at kcro.com. Send me an email. Right at the bottom, if I can use your name. If it doesn't have anything on there, I will not use your name unless you give me permission. But I will share your thoughts and loves and passions and treasures with the folks here on the radio every day. So I appreciate that. My guest today is Mark Langan, kind of like, what'd you call it? Hanging. L-A, I think it's funny as the police officer rhymes with hanging. Langan, Omaha boy, South Omaha.
North Omaha boy. I have to correct you.
North, yeah, no, that's
Omaha
right.
boy.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Proud North Omaha boy.
Proud Omaha
Yes.
North boy.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
all right. And used to actually sit in school and watch the police cars drive by and say, I want to do that. You and I are kind of alike that way. We've been doing this and loving this for a long time. He was with the Omaha PD for 26 years, and now he's written a book called Bustin' Bad Guys. And if you go to his website, you'll have 2 books there. Number 1 is bustinbadguys.com. The second one is bustinbadguys.com, but you put the more at the end. No, not after com. After Bustin' Bad Guys more. Or is it more Bustin' Bad
More
Guys?
busting bad guys, but
See,
you're close.
I gotta write that down because
You're close.
I won't get that right. All right, so we're going to talk about some of the things that you experienced in your days as an Omaha police officer. And you mentioned earlier you were Catholic.
Correct.
I mean, you went to Catholic school, right?
Grade school, high school, college.
And Creighton.
Yes.
Do you still go to Catholic church?
Well, that's a story.
Oh.
If you're ready for that.
Well, I want to hear it in a little bit, though.
Okay, good.
First of all, I want to hear what the best moment or one of the best moments that you had as a police officer in the Omaha Police Department?
Wow, that's really tough because there's so many rewarding moments, and I write about so many stories in the book. But, I write about my dealings with kids, and any police officer on the job has very tough situations involving kids because they're the innocent victims, obviously.
Yeah, well.
And I took great pride in getting kids out of dangerous situations,
Okay.
away from abusive parents, drug dealing parents, parents who put the hit of the meth pipe before the welfare of their children. And it's a sad reality, but the life on the street is gritty. It really is. And I don't sugarcoat things in the book. There's gritty stories in the book. But any time I could take a child, put them in a safe situation was rewarding to me. And I write about how I'd come home at night. And, I work nights. I get home around midnight some nights, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I check both my kids to make sure they're tucked in nice and warm.
Good.
Just to make sure that everything was good. Because I swore to myself I would never let my kids get into a situation like that.
Well, you're a good dad.
Well, I'd like to think so, and I had a good partner who actually raised our 2 kids because I was working nights all 26 years. So
Yeah.
my wife was home and did a fantastic job, and both have turned out very well.
And you said that you liked working nights.
I did.
Why?
I was a adrenaline junkie. I loved being where the action was, and I had a very hard-charging crew that worked with me on the night shift narcotics squad, and we went after the large-scale drug dealers, Mexican cartels, gang members, Hills Angels Motorcycle Club. I write about them in the book. We went after the worst of the worst, the largest scale drug dealers, and I found that very challenging, very invigorating. And once I got there, I didn't want to leave. And I was never told I had to, so I stayed my entire career.
Mark Langan is his name. BustingBadGuys.com is his fame. OPD for 26 years. Saving children from bad situations is one of his passions when he was a police officer for 26 years here in Omaha. I'm afraid to ask this one, but obviously if I'm going to ask the best, what are some moments that you do anything to unsee?
Well, I was involved in a very traumatic situation that is the thread of book number 1, and that's an officer-involved shooting in 2004 where we had a suspect fire on us, and we returned fire and shot and killed the suspect. So most police officers don't like talking about those situations, but when I decided to write the book, I realized that I had to include the most impactful 13 seconds of my 26-year career.
13 seconds.
Where 32 shots were fired in 13 seconds. So I go in great depth. I interviewed the other officer that was involved. I detailed my interview. I had issued Miranda warnings to people hundreds of times over the years. Now I'm on the other side of the desk being issued Miranda warnings because I'm a suspect in a homicide. I talk about the grand jury because we all had to go through a grand jury to see if we were going to be indicted. And it was a traumatic experience. And, I still have lunch or breakfast to this day. We're talking 20 years later with the officer that I was involved with in that shooting.
Okay.
And we still bring it up. We don't talk about it a lot, but we still bring it up. And it'll stay with us forever.
Now, was he the individual that you two rode in the car together?
Well, he was an officer assigned to my crew.
Okay.
And we were chasing a suspect through yards, and that was very common. And
so you were running at this point?
We were. And all of a sudden, the suspect pulled out a gun and started firing, and just instantaneously, training kicked in, and we were lucky to be able to neutralize that person before anybody innocent was killed or before any police officers were killed.
Now, was that before the days you wore bulletproof vests?
No, we had bulletproof vests on.
All right.
But bullets were flying everywhere, so we were very fortunate that somebody didn't get hit.
Did you, is that the only time you ever fired your gun in the case of working?
It is, in 26 years.
Really?
Yeah, and
that's pretty good.
Less than 1% of police officers in this country will be involved in an officer-involved shooting, so it's a very small percentage that are actually involved in an officer-involved shooting. That goes to show how well-trained police officers are, I believe. And it kind of throws out the concept that many people have of police officers being gun crazy and wanting to be involved in an officer-involved shooting. Nobody wants to be involved in a situation like that.
And I don't know why this was, but I grew up with a great respect for the fire department and the police department in Beatrice, and that has stayed with me all these years. I just could never understand why someone, I mean, the truth of the matter is, why would they challenge you? That's not very smart. I mean, in the end, they hold the, ace of spades, but people just don't know.
Well, I get asked that question a lot. What's caused the deterioration of respect for police officers? And
Yes.
I truly believe the advent of the internet back in the 90s and social media sites and media outlets that are geared towards not supporting police officers, and there's many of them out there. What we hear about on a nightly basis are police officers who screw up, police officers who commit crimes while on duty, or who, like the George Floyd situation. And those officers caused a widespread branding of police officers in this country to be branded as bad police officers. I have not talked to one police officer that supports the officers involved in the George Floyd situation.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Nobody condones that situation.
Yeah, right.
But that has set law enforcement back many, many years on trying to gain back the respect of a certain portion of the public, and it's going to be a long time before they get that respect back.
Now, I'm trying to think who was let me tell you, Mark Langan is his name, Langan, like Hangin' Langan. Was that your nickname?
No, I just came up with that
okay.
because people mispronounce my name all the time. So.
Yeah, okay. The book is Bustin' Bad Guys, and the website is, guess what? BustinBadGuys.com, and then there's a second book, which is called More Bustin' Bad Guys, and that's also at BustinBadGuys.com. I love saying that. I don't know, it rolls off. And OPD here in Omaha, 26 years, so you've always been here.
I've lived in Omaha my whole life.
Yeah.
And don't plan on going anywhere. The grandkids are here, so we're
Yeah.
never going to leave.
Yeah.
We're not gonna leave the
Grandma's
grandkids.
elated,
Yeah,
right?
That's great, yeah.
All right, so, all right, I'm going to take a break and then come back and, before I take a break, what police show, you knew I was going to ask this, didn't you? Even though I didn't tell you. What police show on TV is the most accurate? Now, Cops doesn't count, right?
No, I know where you're going with this.
Okay.
Let me give you two answers.
All right.
Not necessarily realistic, but the show that made me want to become a police officer was Adam 12. And I still watch
I loved
it.
Adam
I still
12.
watch it on MeTV.
Adam 12,
It's as
Adam
corny
12.
as can be.
Yeah.
But it's a great show.
No, it is a good show.
Now, there was a show on a few years back for about 5 years called Southland that, in my mind, was the most realistic police TV show ever made.
Southland.
Southland. It's a fantastic show.
What's it?
LAPD, Los Angeles
okay.
police officers, work in the street, uniform patrol detectives.
But it was made up.
It is. Yeah, it's not.
Okay.
It's not a documentary. It's
Okay.
like a TV show with actors, but very well done. I highly suggest it for the true crime. For the people out there that like crime shows and police shows, Southland is a fantastic show.
Well, I love to admit this. My wife and I, we just got married not too long ago, and one of the things I remember sitting at our second date, and she said, well, I said, what's your favorite TV show? And she said, anything that's on ION, ION. And so we spend a lot of time watching ION, and I can't even think of some of the names, but they're all the different SUVs
Yes.
and Miami Vices. And,
That's very popular in our house too.
yeah, all right. Now, here's the opposite. What just sucks? I mean, what did they really mess up when it comes to portraying a policeman or a policewoman correctly?
Oh, I can't think of a specific show, but it just really ticks me off when these TV shows become personal and the officers are forming relationships with people they shouldn't be forming relationships with, and they're corrupt and they're taking money from drug dealers, and I don't like shows like that because
Yeah.
I'm not saying that doesn't happen, but it's such a small minority of police officers. I just don't like seeing that in TV shows.
Yeah, and I always like it when they portray a policeman who's got something right in front of him that he could walk out with, but he doesn't. And I'm trying to think of the guy, Hank. I think it's Chicago PD.
Yeah.
Isn't
I know
that-
who he is. I don't watch it, though. Yeah.
Yeah, he's always really good about
Sure.
that. All right, so you're born and raised in the Catholic Church. You go to in elementary school as a Catholicism major, high school, college, and today you're still a good Catholic boy.
I'm a Catholic boy.
Oh, come on.
I'm not sure I'm going to use the word good, but we can discuss that. I'm sure that'll be something that comes up in the next segment.
I have, and I'm going to give you, if I may, just a little piece of my heart to tell you why you are an excellent Catholic boy. And I don't know you, so it'll be kind of generic if you'll give me that opportunity. Bottom of the hour, 30 minutes before 5 o'clock is Living Word Ministries with Debbie Allen, or Debbie Blank, excuse me. And don't forget, tomorrow at 5, one of my favorite new shows, John Jacobson. I might add Senator John Jacobson. He's in the Iowa legislature, and he serves Pottawatomie County, Council Bluffs and such. And his show is called Faith in the Public Square, and you'll like it. It's every Tuesday right here on AM 660, FM 106.7, and all around the world at KCRO.com.
Sometimes it looks like God has your life idling in neutral.
Dr. Tony Evans talks about the most important thing we can do when it feels like we're not getting anywhere.
God knows how to deliver his people. So when you are tempted to complain about the waiting, that is an invitation to worship.
Waiting on God and other most requested messages of the year. All this week on The Alternative with Dr. Tony Evans.
Tony Evans, weekday evenings at 7:30 on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
Why do people call the Narrow Path radio broadcast to ask their questions? I think it's because they have found that they don't always get conventional answers from the host and predictable answers, but thoughtful answers. And usually more than one side of a question is considered fairly. I'm Steve Gregg. I'm the host of The Narrow Path every weekday. We hope you'll join us if you haven't already done so on this station or at our website, thenarrowpath.com.
The Narrow Path with Steve Gregg, weekday evenings at 8 on KCRO, the Heartland's Christian voice.
Hi, it's Mac from Talk of the Heartland, and you know in this day and age you can pick up KCRO just about anywhere you want. We have a digital app that goes on all smartphones, Alexa or Google or any of the smart speakers, or anywhere around the world at KCRO.com. And no matter where you are when you're listening, at home, at work, or in the car, remember to write it down. We are AM 660 and 106.7 KCRO. Thanks for listening to the Talk of the Heartland.
Tune in Saturday mornings at 7 for The Bible Says with Ashley Day.
This is Ashley Day, inviting you once again to join us as we seek to answer the question, what does the Bible say?
Saturday mornings at 7 on KCRO.
Now your forecast for KCRO for Omaha, Council Bluffs, and Lincoln. Cloudy skies expected tonight with scattered rain showers likely. Lows level off around 36. Southeast winds 20 to 25 miles per hour. Scattered rain showers likely tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 47. Overcast skies. Slight chance for scattered showers tomorrow night. Lows level off around 25. Partly cloudy skies. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley on KCRO. Right now, 36.
100 years KCRO.
Hey, don't forget all the different ways you can listen to us. Obviously here at AM 660 and 106.7 in Lincoln. But also, and I love doing this because if you've got your radio on or your computer on and you own Alexa, turn on KCRO. If my wife's at home, she just got mad at me because now it's coming out of both speakers. But you can get us on your smartphone. We have an app. It's not an app that we monetize, so it's nice and clean. And if you know what I mean, you're always going to get the signal and you're going to get it nice and pure. You can also get it on your laptops or on your Apple pads and all that kind of stuff. It's KCRO. Just remember K and then Christian Radio Omaha. 100 years old as of this year, and next year we're going to celebrate 101 just like we did 100 this year, and we couldn't do it without you. And so thanks for being here and thanks for listening. I'm Mac Mckoy, and my special guest today is Mark Langan, Langan, and he's got a book out called Bustin' Bad Guys, and it's at his website, bustinbadguys.com, and he was with the Omaha Police Department for 26 years and has been in Omaha all his life. Grew up, you said, around Miller Park.
Correct, North Omaha, 30th and Reddick area.
No, well, hold on. In that Miller Park, though?
Yep.
Out in that area? Okay.
Yes.
I'm not going to say south again. I learned my lesson,
okay.
sir.
That's all right. I'm not an SOB.
Okay. No,
I'm a North Omaha boy.
Yeah. What's the SOB? It's the South Omaha boy.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
So you're
It's
a knob.
Christian station. It's South Omaha boy.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. Oh, you know what? This is not your grandmother's Christian station.
Okay,
We have a lot of fun here. I would never say the S word, but I love to say feces.
There you go.
But what's wrong with it? Oh, I don't want to get into that debate. Don't want to. Jesus, save me right now. All right, so let's move over to the thing that's you're passionate about, not only what you do in your family and your grandchildren and your wife and your kids, but you're a Catholic boy all your life. Were you a altar boy?
I was an altar boy for, 4 or 5 years at Blessed Sacrament. Loved it. It was great. I mean, I served as many masses as I could, and really, really,
me too.
I have fond memories of that. I really do. It was great.
Yeah.
I felt important up there on the altar, next to the priest, and
I
practiced at home, making sure I did everything correctly, and it was an honor to do.
You just reminded me of something. My mom had probably a broom that the handle broke off, and so I'd stand in front of my mirror. Remember the way we held those crosses?
Yes.
Left hand on top, right hand on bottom, and it'd have to be square, and like we had a glass of water on our head. But what is it about being a Catholic and going to the Catholic Church that has invited you to stay all these years?
Well, I haven't necessarily stayed. That's what we're going to talk about. Is I drifted away from the Catholic Church for a number of years.
Okay.
Not that I lost my faith, and not that I realized how important that was, but the Catholic Church has been challenging to me over the years. There's been a lot of problems with the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And I may have used those problems as excuses to drift
we do
away
that.
a little bit.
We do that. It's called church hurt.
So I'd like to say I've been out of the arena for a number of years. But lately, I've been kind of drawn back, which is amazing that you found me at Exarban.
Yeah.
We're starting to kind of drift back a little bit. So now I kind of consider myself maybe in the back half of the arena.
Okay.
Up towards the top.
More than Christmas and Easter?
Yeah, we're working on that. Yes.
Okay, good.
And now we're working our way down to being in the arena and getting back to where we were. So there has been some progress made. But I never lost my faith, and a lot of people don't know this, and I don't know if I've ever said this before, but every time we ever ran up to a house on what we call a no-knock search warrant, which are very dangerous, I always just said, please keep my guys safe.
Yeah.
And it worked out, and those are very dangerous situations,
See, that's what makes you. Well, let me back up. There's no such thing as a good or a bad. You're a Catholic or you're not. Same with being pregnant. You either are or you're not. Christian. Am I a good enough Christian? Today I was okay. Tomorrow might be a not enough good. No, Mark, there's no such thing. Once we enter into a relationship with Jesus, he doesn't judge us on a scale of 1 to 10. We're all 10s. Okay?
Well, I think I could probably do a little bit better, and that's what I'm working on.
Okay.
I'm working on. So the timing of the show really worked out well.
Good. Well, I don't go to the Catholic Church anymore, but I'd love to take you to my churches a couple times. I'm a church mutt.
Mm-hmm.
And so all the pastors that I have on here, it's so much fun. It really is. I get up Sunday morning and I'm just fired up. Where are we going to go today? I don't know. Where do you want to go? And I have found some that I prefer more than others, but there's a lot of good churches. And a lot of the Lutheran churches, a lot of Catholics find solace in the Lutheran churches because we're kissing cousins, But, yeah, relationships don't happen because you go to church. Relationships happen because of what you just said, brother. Keep my guys safe. You're talking to God. You're praying to him. Keep my guys safe. So you're doing great.
Well, I'd like to think so, and I never had anybody hurt, but where my conflict comes in is, we have had police officers hurt. We have had police officers killed. And it's that's tough for police officers to deal with because We had a female officer killed back in 2015, Carrie Orozco, who was a beloved police officer, just did a fantastic job. She had had a baby 2 months before, but the baby was born prematurely, so it was in the hospital for 2 months. And the next day, she was going to take her maternity leave and take the baby home from the hospital. And she was shot and killed. So I'll be honest, I had some questions, and I may have some questions when I ascend, hopefully, into heaven after I'm gone. I might, if I ever sit down with the big guy, I might ask, why do things like this happen? I mean, it was very traumatic. Day before she took the baby home from the hospital, that's where I get a little conflicted. But that doesn't cause me to lose my faith. I mean, I still have my faith, but I have a conflicted faith at times.
Can I share something with
bet.
you?
You bet.
All right. I had a daughter murdered in 2017.
Oh, my goodness.
And before it would ever come out of my mouth, why did God take my Abby? A very, very good friend of mine to this day said, if you're thinking about God took Abby, if you're asking why things like this happen to good people, Mark, God didn't take Abby. He rescued her. That woman, my daughter, are in the best place in the whole world. And they would never return in a million years. And we're going to spend eternity with them. It probably was hard on her daughter and her family and everything. And that's a human characteristic because we're born broken. We were never supposed to die. But just remember that when someone dies, even if they're bad people, God rescues them and brings them.
That is an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
I will keep that in mind.
Yeah.
I still have some conflict, but I'll definitely keep
That's
that in
okay.
mind.
That's okay. It's okay to be mad at God for stuff. Believe it or not, he loves those people who are genuine with him as much as he does those people who are quiet and obedient and just go on and do their work. He likes us both.
You know, the thing with police officers, we're different from other people. I always tell people I talk to, and I talk to numerous groups, I'll say I never want to say the police officers are better than anybody else, because we're not, but we are different than anybody else because we see the worst that humanity has to offer on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And we ask questions as to how can people be this wicked and mean to other people, but and you know, words on police officers. Our life expectancy, it's well known, is less than the average person because of the stress that we have on us, the things that we've seen. So, you know, the reason I wrote the 2 books, I tell people too, is it was kind of a cathartic experience to get these demons out of my head into the book, and now I can share them with other people, and people find the books fascinating, especially if you're from Omaha. They're all Omaha stories, but these books are selling nationally. We sell very well in England and Australia on
good
Amazon.
for you.
So people enjoy reading about true crime stories.
Now, do you change the names?
I don't necessarily have to as long as I'm telling the truth.
Yeah, well, I get it.
You know, I consulted with my attorney, who happens to be my son, which really works out well.
Bills are a lot
it's
less.
Great. It's not a bad
He
deal.
ever sends you a bill, just say, well, we're even for living in that room for a year.
So, and I was told that as long as I'm telling the truth, I can back it up. I can use the real names. So, you know, both subtitles of both books are true crime stories. These are true stories that I've researched thoroughly, involving a wide variety of things, not just drug dealers, but, you know, I profile a 30-year career prostitute who worked the streets of downtown Omaha for 30 years.
Wow. From
From teenage years into her mid-40s, and she writes a portion of the chapter about how she got herself out of that lifestyle. Fascinating story.
Yeah.
I write about downtown bookie joints that I used to go in undercover and make gambling bets at the downtown bookie joints, and just fascinating stuff that I find fascinating. And the readers will come back to me, like at the holiday market, and they'll say, I love the book, great stories, and the feedback's been really good.
Do you still keep in touch with, like, the prostitute and other people?
I do. I have a wide variety of people that I keep in contact with. Probably not the normal type of set of friends that a lot of people have, but drug dealers, career prostitute.
I get it.
I mean, and a lot of them I'm interviewed for the books. And what's funny is a lot of people will find me and they'll say, please tell me I'm not in your book. Please. Or they'll say, why am I not in your book?
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, When I wrote my first book, it was my story with the names changed. And it was my youngest daughter, after reading the book, after it was published, said, Dad, I need you to write a book so when your grandchildren and their children read this, you're being 100% honest and you're being 100% clear on what happened. So my second book was really the rewrite on the first, only in the first one, I hadn't met Jesus yet, and there was a lot of This one's called Living Free Through Forgiveness. And it's a story about how I went back and forgave all those people and asked for forgiveness in the areas that I needed forgiveness.
Interesting.
So, well, you know what? After Jesus mugged me, I had to. Because that first book wasn't nice. I called him out.
Isn't writing a book fun, though? Did
No.
you enjoy writing it?
No.
See, I loved the concept of it. Everything about it I enjoyed.
And maybe, well, no, I wrote the same thing you did. I wrote the truth. No, I don't know. My problem was, what time is it? Okay. My problem is I'd write a page or a couple page, and then I'd go back and edit it.
Mm-hmm. That's not a good idea.
And then I'd finish the chapter, and I'd go back and edit it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, here's the sad story. I'm getting ready to have the second edition of my second book come out, and I'm changing some things.
My editor, towards the end of the first book, finally called me one night, and she said, if you make one more change, I'm going to jump off a bridge. And I said, okay, I'm done making changes. She had run out of patience.
Well, all right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I'll tell you something that happened to me about 2 chapters in my book, very similar to what you did. Plus, I want to hear some more fun stuff.
Looking forward to it.
I want to hear some more fun stuff about your 26 years as a policeman here in Omaha. My guest is Mark Langan, Langan. His website is bustinbadguys.com, and he's got book 1 and book 2 there. And we'll talk a little bit more about, I don't know, some police shows maybe, some of the great things that he saw. If you want him to get into all the bad stuff, he's not going to do it on this show today. Maybe he'll come back someday and share those with us. But it is important to me, not because you're sitting here. It's important to me that this thing that's going on in our country, which is demonizing people, whether it's politicians, I don't care what party they belong to. I'm just tired of it.
I agree.
I don't have that many years left on this earth, and I don't want to spend it being critical of people. So we'll have fun when we come back and talk about some of the fun stuff. I'm Mckoy. If I ever told you this, I hope I have. Thanks for listening. It's no accident you're listening today. We've been praying for you. I didn't know you by name, but I asked God to please use me and Mark today to hopefully answer a couple of your little prayers. Maybe they're itty-bitty. Maybe they're the big one. And I pray that God uses this tool, this vehicle called radio and social media, to help your prayers come true. Because if there's one thing you got to know, God is revealing himself to you. We just don't pay a good enough attention to it. We're coming back here on AM 660 and FM 106.7 in Lincoln. And, of course, we're all around the world at KCRO.com.
Right now, thousands of Omaha families are struggling to escape poverty amid record inflation. But this holiday season, you can help them to find a way forward by giving to the Salvation Army. When you donate to the Salvation Army, you help fill empty stomachs, warm cold hands, put presents under the tree, and more. Join our effort to love beyond Christmas. Give to the Salvation Army today at omaharedkettle.org. That's omaharedkettle.org.
You are invited to tune in every Sunday right here on AM 660 KCRO for the Covenant Church live broadcast at 11 a.m. Covenant Church is located at 150th and Blondo Street in Omaha. The mission of Covenant is to know Christ and to make him known. For more information, go to covenantomaha.church. That's covenantomaha.church. Or visit in person and bring the family to the 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. service. Come find a place where you can belong. Come home to Covenant.
David Brooks here, inviting you to join me Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. for the Retire Smart radio show. We'll provide you answers to your retirement questions and help you navigate these uncertain financial times. Don't just retire, retire smart. Saturday mornings at 10 a.m.
Investment advisory services offered through Smart Wealth LLC, a federally registered investment advisor and affiliate of Retire Smart. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training.
This is Pause to Pray, a chance each day to stop down from the daily noise of life and pray for our country's leaders.
Today we pray for Robin Hutchison, Administrator of the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Her office regulates the trucking industry for the United States. Psalm 91 verses 11 and 12 reminds us of God's protection in our travels. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. They will lift you up in their hands so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. Right now, with this in mind, let's pray together. Almighty God, we ask you to guide Robin Hutchison as she works to ensure safety in the trucking and bus industry. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pause to Pray is a service of this station and the Presidential Prayer Team, a nonprofit, nonpartisan ministry dedicated to encouraging prayer for our nation's leaders. To learn more, go to pausetopray.org.
The Heartland's Christian Voice, KCRO.
All right, good afternoon. It's 8 minutes before the top of the hour. Top of the hour is 5 o'clock, and Debbie Blank is in with Living Word Ministries here on the Christian Talk of the Heartland. Hey, don't forget tomorrow, one of my favorite dudes, John Jacobson. He is a Iowa legislator, and he has and let me tell you something. This guy breaks it out. He tells the truth. He lays it where it's at. He's not concerned. I mean, he's polite, but he's going to tell you the way it is. And his show is called Faith in the Public Square. That's tomorrow at 5 o'clock here on the Heartland's Christian Voice. KCRO AM and FM. Here is my guest today, Mark Langan, Langan, and his books. His first book was Bustin' Bad Guys. Oh, I should probably tell you that he was a police officer.